Ever feel like you're just drowning in information?
Mm.
You know, reading, scrolling, listening. But getting to the real core, the stuff that actually sticks and maybe sparks a change, that often feels just out of reach.
Yeah, totally. It's like trying to drink from a fire hose sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So welcome to the deep dive. We try to be your shortcut to really understanding what matters. We do the sifting for you, pull out those golden nuggets.
We're kind of like information archaeologists, I suppose, carefully digging up the really valuable pieces of knowledge, the insights that can genuinely shift how you see things.
And today's deep dive is especially for you, the learner. We know you're curious, you want to grasp things efficiently, and you love those aha moments that kind of cut through all the noise. You brought us Anthony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within, which is, well, it's a deep well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Packed with strategies for personal and professional growth.
It really is. So our mission today is pretty straightforward. We're going to navigate this pretty substantial work, pinpoint its core principles, pull out some surprising or, really useful bits.
And deliver practical value without just adding to the overwhelm. We want these big ideas to actually click for you.
Precisely.
Okay, let's get right to it then. The cornerstone, the very first thing that really jumps out, is this powerful idea. Your life isn't really shaped by your conditions.
Right. It's shaped by your decisions.
Exactly.
And what's key here is the focus on your own agency, your power. The book gives some really compelling examples, big weight loss, career changes, relationship shifts.
All stemming from a deliberate choice.
Yeah. The takeaway is that agency, that power lies in your choices. Big ones, small ones, and importantly, not choosing. Well, that's a choice too. It's deciding to let other things direct you.
That's a crucial point. Not decided is deciding to be passive, maybe. Letting the environment steer the ship.
And you see this play out everywhere, right? Your connection with people, your work life, your fitness.
Your finances, your emotional state.
It's all profoundly influenced by the decisions you make, or the ones you don't make. Consciously or just by default, they're basically the architects of your experience.
There's even that really striking example from Eastern Europe in the book.
Oh, yeah, where huge numbers of people making new decisions led to massive societal change.
It just shows the ripple effect, doesn't it? Individual choices can scale up, personally, or even across whole communities.
And this ties into our own ability to take charge. The materials suggest we have these decision-making muscles.
Right.
And like any muscle, they can get weak if we don't use them. But the good news is you can strengthen them.
How? Just by making more decisions?
Pretty much. Making more choices. And this is key, learning from the outcomes. Whether they go well or, not so well, it's all feedback.
So maybe as you're listening, you could consider, is there an area in your life right now where making a clear, conscious decision could really shift things onto a more positive track? What might that look like for you?
Okay, so building right on that idea of personal agency, the material brings in another fundamental principle. These two massive forces driving all human behavior.
Yes, the twin engines. Avoiding pain and seeking pleasure.
Exactly, something we can all instantly relate to. We're fundamentally wired that way.
But here's the twist, right? It's not just pain and pleasure themselves, but what we link them to. What we associate with pain and pleasure, that's what shapes our lives.
That's the core insight. And what's really interesting is how these links, these associations get formed. The author shares his own story of deliberately linking pleasure to learning.
Because he saw how valuable it could be.
Right. It shows we can take an active role in shaping these connections. The insight here is you can master your motivation by consciously linking pain to what you want to stop doing and pleasure to what you want to start doing.
And our past experiences are huge here. They create what the book calls neuroassociation.
The connections our brain makes between things. A good experience links an action to reward. A bad one links it to discomfort. Pretty straightforward, but powerful.
And this really explains why just relying on willpower often fails in the long run, doesn't it? Like with dieting.
Totally. If you still unconsciously link pleasure to that kick or whatever it is, your willpower is eventually going to struggle.
So you need to actually rewire the association.
Exactly. Actively link pain to the old habit you want to break and really intense pleasure to the new one you want to build.
Yeah.
That's where lasting change comes from.
The book even points out how advertising constantly tries to play with these associations, linking their products to pleasure or solving some pain point.
Yeah, it's happening all around us. So the material gives a kind of practical process for changing these associations. First, just be aware of how powerful pain and pleasure are.
Okay, step 1.
Awareness. Step 2, Identify the specific pains you link to not changing, but also the hidden pleasures you might be getting from the negative pattern right now.
Ah, the secondary gain idea. Interesting.
And then step 3, consciously, forcefully link massive pleasure to the new desired behavior. Condition it in.
So if you're listening, maybe pick a change you want to make. Ask yourself, what pain do I currently link to taking action? And maybe surprisingly, what pleasure or comfort am I getting from staying stuck? Understanding that is a big first step.
Right. Now, shifting gears slightly from those immediate drives, the next big area, Awaken the Giant Within, dives into, is the power of our beliefs.
Oh, this is huge. The book basically says beliefs are the foundation of everything we do, consciously or unconsciously.
They have the power to create and the power to destroy. It really emphasizes our ability to interpret things, to find meaning in experiences in ways that either empower us or, well, limit us.
And it gets even wilder, the connection drawn between beliefs and physical health.
Yeah, that's pretty mind-blowing stuff. It mentions things like changes in eye color, marks appearing or disappearing on the body, even beliefs influencing diseases or overriding drug effects.
Psychoneuroimmunology, right, the mind-body connection.
Exactly. The insight is your beliefs aren't just abstract thoughts. They can have real, tangible effects on your physical reality.
So where did these beliefs come from?
Well, several places. Our own direct experiences, those tend to be the strongest anchors.
Makes sense.
Also, information from others, the media, experts, and even just our own imagination. We can imagine possibilities and start to believe in them.
This leads to that interesting point about realism, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Our idea of what's realistic is often just limited by our past experiences, our references.
But great leaders, the book argues, often operate way beyond that conventional realism. They believe in things before they exist.
Right, and if you don't have past references for success in a certain area, it can create a limiting belief that you can't succeed there.
Which is why that belief, the past doesn't equal the future, is so crucial.
Absolutely. It's all about how you frame failures. Are they final verdicts? Or just data points, learning opportunities?
So how do you change a disempowering belief?
The process involves, first, creating doubt around the old belief. Question it, find exceptions. Then, you need to provide yourself with new experiences, new references that support a new, more empowering belief.
And modeling successful people comes in here too.
Definitely. Identify their empowering beliefs, the ones that drive their success, and consciously try them on, adopt them for yourself.
This ties into that CNNI idea again, doesn't it?
Constant and never-ending improvement, yeah. It's about applying this belief in growth across all areas: business, health, relationships.
There's that incredible story about Marva Collins, the teacher.
Oh, yeah. Her unwavering belief in her students' potential was the key. Even when everyone else had written them off, her belief created a different reality in her classroom. It's a powerful illustration.
So for you listening, can you identify one belief that might be holding you back right now? And what's a more empowering belief you could consciously choose to install instead? Just imagine what that might feel like.
Okay, so belief is foundational, but then the material pivots to, well, actually doing something. Action.
Right. A real decision isn't just a thought. It's measured by the new action you take. Commitment is everything.
Yeah, without action, it's just wishful thinking. And the book uses that stark business partner example to show the consequences of poor decisions, or maybe not doing enough research before acting. Alignment matters.
Which brings us to neuroassociative conditioning,
Yeah,
an RAC.
exactly. Presented as a specific toolkit for creating lasting change. It boils down to 3 key things that form those neuroassociations.
What we focus on.
Yep, the meaning we give it.
Mm-hmm.
And our physical state, our physiology at that moment. Intensity in these areas helps lock in the association.
It's interesting how we can create false associations too.
Yeah.
Like that example of the woman avoiding passion because she wrongly linked it to a past painful breakup.
Right, our interpretations aren't always accurate. And then there's the idea of mixed associations.
Where you link both pain and pleasure to the same thing.
Exactly. Like money, for instance. People might want it, but also associate it with greed or stress. That creates internal conflict and sabotage.
So how do you break through that? The book talks about leverage.
Yeah, leverage is key. It's about creating enough internal pressure to change. Often this comes from our need to be consistent with our identity, who we believe we are.
So you make the old behavior feel inconsistent with who you want to be.
Precisely. You create leverage by linking massive unbearable pain to staying the same and intense, undeniable pleasure to making the change.
That horse meat example, while a big graphic certainly makes the point.
It does. And you also have to address any secondary gain, those hidden benefits you might be getting from the old pattern. Otherwise, the change won't stick.
Like the chocolate example, using leverage to shift that desire.
So the core steps for breaking patterns are: 1, interrupt the old pattern forcefully, scramble the signal.
Okay, interrupt.
2, create a new, empowering, alternative behavior, something to replace the old one.
Got it, replace.
And 3, condition that new pattern. Repeat it with intensity, link pleasure to it until it becomes automatic.
It's not enough just to stop the old thing. You need a new pathway. Like the drug addiction point, you need a healthy replacement.
Exactly. And immediate rewards for the new behavior are really important for reinforcing it early on.
So the 5 keys to conditioning wrap this up.
Right. Make the new behavior irresistible. Interrupt the old one consistently. Create that empowering alternative. Make sure the alternative meets the needs the old pattern did. And mentally rehearse future pace the new behavior.
Okay, so thinking about a pattern you'd like to change, how could you apply these NAC steps? What's the interruption? What's the new alternative? How can you condition it? Lots to chew on there.
Definitely. Now, the focus shifts again, this time to the incredible power of where we put our attention, our focus.
How just redirecting your focus can instantly change how you feel, right? Your perception of pain or pleasure.
Instantly. Our mental, emotional, and physical states are so tightly linked. Even something simple, like the book mentions laughter.
Yeah, laughter can totally shift your state.
It's a powerful pattern interrupt, and the core idea here is what you focus on, you tend to experience more of.
The self-fulfilling prophecy thing. Focus on problems, find more problems.
Right. Which leads directly into using questions as a tool, a super powerful tool for changing your focus and directing your mind towards solutions.
Instead of just dwelling on the problem.
Exactly. Asking a question immediately changes where your mind goes.
And there's a huge difference between disempowering questions, like, why does this always happen to me?
Which keep you stuck.
And empowering questions like, what can I learn from this? Or how can I improve this situation?
Absolutely. The examples about relationships and finances really drive that home. Asking better questions leads to better answers, better states.
That Donald Trump story during the downturn is memorable too, asking a totally different question than everyone else.
How can I get rich while everyone else is scared? It highlights thinking differently, questioning assumptions. Even Einstein stressed the importance of questioning.
So questions do 3 main things, according to the book.
Yep. 1, that change your focus immediately. 2, they change what information your brain pays attention to, what it deletes, distorts, or generalizes. And 3, they open up new possibilities, new alternatives you hadn't considered.
Learning to ask good questions, especially when things get tough, is a crucial skill then.
A vital skill. And you can even model the questions used by people you admire. What questions do they ask themselves habitually?
Like the Walt Disney example. And the way questions are phrased matters too. Presupposition.
Right. Questions often contain hidden assumptions that frame the potential answers. Asking, how can we solve this, assumes it can be solved.
The book offers those 4 really powerful problem-solving questions too.
Oh yeah, those are great. What do I really want? What's stopping me? What am I willing to do? And crucially, what am I willing to stop doing?
It's right to the heart of it.
Definitely cuts through the noise. And finally, there's the idea of a success ritual, specific morning and evening questions to deliberately cultivate positive states and focus.
Like starting the day asking what you're grateful for, or ending it by asking what you learned.
Exactly. Proactive state management through questioning.
So, for you listening, maybe just start noticing the questions you ask yourself day to day. Are they empowering you or holding you back? Could you try asking some different, better questions? See what happens.
Yeah, it's a simple shift with potentially big results. Okay, moving on. The conversation then tackles vocabulary, the words we use.
And how emotionally charged words can literally transform how we feel and how others feel too.
It's fascinating how different words for the same feeling, like anger, can lead to totally different beliefs about control and responsibility.
Which brings in transformational vocabulary.
Right. The idea that the words we attach to our experience become our experience. So choosing words consciously can actually reduce unnecessary pain.
Labels are powerful. Labeling something devastating feels very different from labeling it a bit annoying or a challenge.
Absolutely. And those word choices shape our beliefs, which then influence our actions. It's all connected.
That story about Bob picking up the word overwhelmed from someone else.
Yeah, it shows how easily we can adopt limiting language without even realizing it, and how it affects our state and behavior.
So the advice is to consciously break old vocabulary patterns.
Yes. And deliberately choose more empowering words. Like instead of "I'm furious," maybe "I'm a bit peeved," or "I notice I'm feeling frustrated." It dials down the intensity.
And you can use it to amp up positive feelings, too.
Definitely. Instead of "I feel okay," try "I feel fantastic," or "I'm feeling incredibly grateful." Use strong, positive words intentionally.
Even in communication, shifting from negative to more neutral language can help, like in that business example. Less blame, more focus on solutions.
Exactly. Which leads into the related idea of life metaphors, the underlying comparisons we use to understand life.
Like feeling the weight of the world or hitting a brick wall. These aren't just figures of speech. They shape our feelings.
They really do. They create a feeling of being burdened or stuck. But the good news is they're just metaphors. We chose them, maybe unconsciously, and we can choose different ones.
So you can change them pretty quickly.
Yeah, by first recognizing them, seeing they aren't literal reality, and then consciously choosing a more empowering alternative.
Like shifting from life is a battle
Which implies constant struggle and defense.
to something like life is a dance or life is a game or life is a gift. Each carries totally different feelings and implications.
The key is to interrupt the disempowering ones when you catch yourself using them. Ask, is that really true? What else could this be like?
Okay, so another one for you listening. Notice your metaphors. Is there a negative one you use often? What's a more empowering metaphor you could try on instead? How might that change your approach?
That's a fun and powerful exercise. Okay, next up. The material offers a really helpful reframe on emotions, especially the ones we tend to label as negative.
Viewing them not as bad things, but as action signals.
Exactly. They're not enemies. They're messengers carrying valuable information. They're telling us something needs attention or action.
So instead of suppressing fear or frustration, we should listen to the message.
That's the idea. The book goes through common ones. Fear might mean get prepared. Frustration might signal change your approach or expectations. Hurt could mean communicate a perceived loss.
Anger. A standard has been violated. Disappointment. An expectation wasn't met. Guilt. You violated one of your standards.
Inadequacy. Need more skill or confidence. Overwhelm. Need to prioritize or break things down. Loneliness. Need connection. Each has a message and suggests a solution.
That's a much more constructive way to look at them than just feeling bad.
Totally. And this contrasts with the emotions of power the book lists.
Love, gratitude, curiosity, passion, determination, flexibility, confidence.
Cheerfulness, vitality, contribution. These are the states that tend to fuel positive action and well-being.
And the point is we can choose to cultivate these more often.
Yes, we can decide to feel them, and we can use our physiology, posture, breathing, movement to help generate and anchor those feelings.
So next time a difficult emotion comes up, try seeing it as an action signal. Ask, what's the message here? What action is it prompting me to take?
Right. Decode the signal. Okay, to keep us moving forward, especially through challenges, the book talks about needing a magnificent obsession.
A compelling future. A really powerful vision that pulls you forward.
Exactly. Goals are essential, but they need to be inspiring. They need to stretch us, take us beyond our current limits.
The idea of setting impossible goals that get you genuinely excited.
Like that story of young O.J. Simpson aiming not just to play pro football, but to break huge records. That kind of bold vision, it starts with daring to imagine.
But people often hold back, don't they? Fear of disappointment.
That's a big one. But the book encourages flipping, that vividly imagine the joy of achieving the goal, but also feel the potential pain of never even going for it. Use both sides of the motivation equation.
Those personal stories, like chasing the Fiji trip, or Peter Guber's relentless pursuit of the Batman movie.
They really drive home the power of unwavering commitment to a goal that truly matters to you.
So the book gives a structure for setting these kinds of goals across different life areas.
Yeah, a very practical framework. Career, business, economic, physical, relationships, personal growth, contribution, and also fun adventure. Write them down.
And then really commit to the top ones. Write about why you're committed.
Yes, stack the reasons. Make it compelling for yourself. And do that fun exercise. Brainstorm toys and adventures without limits, and also define contribution goals, how you want to make a difference.
It taps into different kinds of motivation.
Exactly. And of course, CNI comes back again. Constant and never-ending improvement is key to long-term happiness derived from pursuing and achieving goals.
And finally, programming yourself for success, clearing roadblocks, making commitments public, rehearsing the goals.
All strategies to strengthen belief and build momentum.
Okay, so for you listening, take a serious look at your current goals. Are they truly compelling? Do they excite you? Maybe try writing down goals in those different areas and really dig into why your top goals are absolute musts for you.
It's a foundational exercise. Now, moving beyond just goals, the material stress is a crucial point. The thinking that got you here won't necessarily get you there.
Where you want to go, you need to evolve your thinking.
Right. Which involves that idea of weeding the garden of the mind.
Clearing out limiting thoughts, old beliefs, unhelpful assumptions. Consciously cultivating a better inner landscape.
And accepting that problems are normal, they can even be useful, keep us sharp. But chronic worry, not so much.
Worry is challenged as unproductive. Focus on solutions instead.
Which leads to the 10-day mental diet.
Yes, the challenge. For 10 days, refuse to hold on to unresourceful thoughts or feelings. When they come up, immediately shift focus to solutions. If you slip, start the 10 days over.
It's intense, but it trains your mental muscles. It also highlights the cumulative effect of life. Small daily choices add up significantly over time.
And it reframes what a hero is. Not someone without problems, but someone who contributes courageously despite adversity. Holds themselves to a higher standard.
Identity plays a huge role here, too. That example of the homeless person starting to change things by shifting their identity first.
Or the prisoner transforming his life through new habits that built a new identity.
Powerful stuff. And these principles can even apply to bigger societal issues, like gang violence or environmental problems, linking pain to destructive behaviors, pleasure to constructive ones.
It emphasizes individual contribution, being a positive example, especially for kids. Acts of service, contributing time.
And striving for balance, not impossible perfection. Accepting that sometimes we just won't know the meaning of events and we need trust.
This whole exploration culminates in the idea of a master system, doesn't it?
Yes. The overarching system that governs our lives. It includes our typical emotional states.
Our focus, our physiology.
Our beliefs, both global and specific rules. Our values hierarchy.
Our references, the experiences that shape everything. And our core sense of identity.
Understanding how these pieces fit together and influence each other is the key to profound change. Change one element, like a core belief.
And it can ripple through the whole system, maybe eliminating a fear or changing behavior.
Exactly. Our personal references, those past experiences and meanings, are so fundamental in shaping beliefs and rules. Like the cockroach example shows how deep those references run. So the opportunity is to understand your own evaluation system, how you make sense of things, and then learn how to consciously tweak it, create leverage for positive change within that system.
Okay, let's dive deeper into two key parts of that system. Values and rules.
Right. Values are our internal compass. They guide every decision and ultimately steer our destiny.
And there's that important distinction between ends values and means values.
Yeah. Ends values are the ultimate emotional states we're after, like love, connection, freedom, security. Means values are the ways we think we need to get there, like having a certain job or owning a specific thing.
It's easy to get caught up chasing the means and forget the real end goal, the feeling we want.
Very easy. Then there are moving toward values, the pleasurable states we actively seek. We all have a personal hierarchy of these.
Like the example of Jolie, torn between her value of family and her demanding job. Her values hierarchy was in conflict.
Exactly. And then you have moving away from values, the painful states we want to avoid, like rejection, anger, frustration, loneliness.
Alignment is key, right? Feeling fulfilled comes when our actions consistently line up with our highest values.
Absolutely. The author shares his own journey of reevaluating and reshuffling his values list, which is something we can all do.
Okay, so values guide us. What about rules?
Rules are the specific beliefs we have about what has to happen for us to feel like our values are being met or violated. They determine when we feel pain and when we feel pleasure related to our values.
Like the successful CEO or great lover examples, people can have wildly different, sometimes arbitrary rules for feeling successful or loved.
Totally arbitrary sometimes. And the key is to have empowering rules, not disempowering ones.
What makes a rule disempowering?
Usually one of three things. It's impossible to meet consistently. It depends entirely on things outside your control, like other people's actions, or it's set up so you feel bad no matter what happens.
Like the woman whose rule for attraction meant it could only last a month.
Yeah.
An impossible rule dooming her relationship.
Exactly. Lori's story is a great example of consciously changing her rules and values to create more happiness.
And conflicting rules between people, especially in relationships, can cause major problems if they aren't communicated, like different rules for what respect looks like.
Huge source of conflict. Communication about rules is vital.
There's also the difference between should rules and must rules.
Right. Shoulds are kind of weak preferences. Musts are non-negotiable standards. If you want to achieve something significant, you often need to turn your shoulds into musts. Like the weight loss example, should eat healthy versus must eat healthy.
Okay, so values and rules are shaped by our references. Let's touch on references again.
Yeah, those experiences that form our beliefs, like George Bush's WWII experiences creating deep references for perseverance.
But references aren't just past experiences, right? Imagination counts too.
Big time. Roger Bannister imagining breaking the 4-minute mile before anyone had done it, that created a powerful internal reference.
Repetition helps solidify references in learning. And you can reframe past negative experiences to create empowering references.
Definitely. Like the newspaper story example, finding the hidden gift or lesson. The point is, limited references lead to a limited life. We need to actively seek out new ideas, new experiences to expand our world.
Which brings us back to identity, the ultimate organizing principle in the master system.
You could say that. A shift in identity can trigger massive, rapid change across the board. Like the drug addict example changing I am an addict to I am a healthy person who used to abuse drugs.
That POW example is chilling, but illustrates the power-changing identity bit by bit through small commitments.
Yeah. Small commitments that align with a new identity can snowball into bigger changes. Identity crises often happen when our sense of self is too narrow or tied to something external that changes.
Like the Xerox example, or Jean Valjean in Les Miserables. A profound identity shift triggered by one act of grace.
A classic example. So the book encourages you, the listener, to explore your own identity. Ask yourself, who am I? Who do I choose to be?
Like Debra's story, changing her wimpy identity, it shows we can choose.
We can consciously choose and reinforce the identity we want. It's not fixed, it's dynamic, something we can keep refining throughout life.
Okay, wow. That's a deep dive into the master system. Let's touch on a couple of other key mastery areas the book covers. Physical health first.
Right. Absolutely foundational. The book acknowledges all the confusing, conflicting advice out there.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming.
And stresses focusing on what works for you, on results. It distinguishes between fitness capacity for specific tasks and health, overall well-being, recovery ability.
It explains aerobic versus anaerobic exercise.
Aerobic for endurance, fat burning. Anaerobic for power, strength. Stu Middleman's story of training his metabolism for that insane 1,000-mile run is pretty inspiring.
It also mentions human growth hormone, HGH,
Right.
and how specific exercise can stimulate it naturally. Good news for aging gracefully.
Definitely. Taking control of health is empowering. The assignment in the book is practical. Define fitness versus health for yourself, set a goal, design aerobic and anaerobic plans, and choose a reward. Actionable steps.
Okay, and financial mastery, another big one.
Huge. Again, NEC applies link pleasure to abundance, saving, investing, not just spending.
It challenges the whole scarcity myth, too. Talks about technology and economic alchemy.
Yeah, converting low-value things to high-value things through creativity and adding value. Like the physical therapist or salesperson examples, increasing their value to earn more.
Linking raises to increased value, companies investing in people. It makes sense.
And having a clear plan is crucial. A spending plan, an investment plan. Pay yourself first. Invest a percentage up front, consistently.
The power of compounding. That napkin folding visual really sticks.
It does. Small amounts, consistently invested over time. Huge results. The book also flags common mistakes, encourages modeling successful people, getting guidance,
Asset protection strategies get a mention, too.
and ultimately that true wealth is an emotion, a feeling of abundance. Appreciating the wealth you already have in life is part of it.
Okay, another interesting concept. A personal code of conduct.
Yeah, this is about consciously choosing the empowering emotional states you commit to experiencing daily, taking control of your inner world proactively.
Like the author at the book signing, deliberately choosing to feel passionate, grateful, even when things went wrong.
Exactly. The steps are simple. List the states you want to live in daily, like passionate, grateful, determined, joyful. Commit to experiencing each one every day. Review your progress.
What are the benefits?
More emotional control, stronger sense of self, living closer to your own vision, feeling pride in holding yourself to that higher standard.
Like Wayne Dyer's metaphor, pressure doesn't create the negativity. It just reveals what's already inside. The code helps you choose what's inside.
Beautifully put. It reinforces that daily small actions build character and identity.
And finally, mastering time and life itself. Stress often comes from feeling out of control of time.
Right. And our feelings are tied to the time frame we're focused on dwelling on the past versus focusing on the present or future.
Time is presented as a mental construct. Our experience of it depends on our focus.
So the feeling of not enough time is often an illusion based on poor prioritization. We need to focus on what truly matters.
And remember, those small daily decisions shape our destiny. Avoid the trap of unconscious decisions, especially avoiding short-term pain that creates long-term problems.
Yeah, don't fall for the belief that only huge, superhuman efforts change things. It's the cumulative effect of small, consistent, conscious choices.
So wrapping up this massive deep dive, we've covered a lot of ground from Awaken the Giant Within, the power of decisions.
Understanding pain and pleasure, the massive influence of beliefs, the necessity of action.
The impact of focus and questions, transformational language, emotions as signals.
Setting compelling goals, understanding your master system values, rules, identity.
Plus, principles for physical and financial mastery, living by a code of conduct, mastering time. It's a comprehensive toolkit.
It really is. And for you, the learner, within all these principles lies immense potential for growth, for intentionally shaping your life. You've got a powerful set of insights now.
Think about which concepts really resonated. Maybe go back to the source material with these ideas fresh in your mind.
And consider taking a first step. What's one limiting belief you could challenge today? What's one empowering question you could start asking? One small, inspiring goal you could define?
Yeah, make it practical. Make it real.
So here's a final thought to leave you with now that you've explored these principles. What single conscious decision, if you acted on it today, could create the biggest positive ripple effect in your life over the next year?
Or, thinking about all those stories of transformation we discussed, what kind of inspiring story are you going to choose to write for yourself, starting right now? Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
We hope it was valuable. Feel free to reach out with any follow-up thoughts or questions as you continue exploring these powerful ideas.